and welcome to Under Construction, Restoring the Whole Woman. I am your host, Cynthia Martin, here with my beautiful co-host, Sonia Marie, and we are her conscious life experts, supporting you in becoming healed, empowered, and restored as your holistic, thriving advocates. This is a weekly broadcast where we share unconventional wellness ideas, courageous conversations about perseverance, authenticity, and reclaiming our power as modern, mindful women. So happy to be back again. Sonia, how are you?
I'm well. How are you today?
Excellent. So, for those of you listening, we are very much practitioners of the work that we do. And in mindfulness is creating conscious choices and setting clear intentions about the things we want to create. And one of the things we intended for the show was fun and laughter. And goodness, do we get them even behind the scenes? So, for those of you that are starting to venture into the woo-woo side of your life and honoring your intuition and spirituality, if you are one noticing the numbers, the repeating numbers, 111 is a big one between Sonia and I, 1111, the 111s.
Yeah.
So it's in that moment, the spirit decided to be
let's shut you down.
Shut you down or play with you. So having a good time here. So awesome. Here we are in the month of March, springing into your best self with the theme of the show for this month as we step into the the beginnings of spring, which activate the energies for spring cleaning. So with that, we're going to bring you different ways to spring clean your life, from your mindset, your home, your behaviors, your habits. And before we kick that off for today, Sonia's going to get us grounded with a quick breathing exercise I don't know if amping up the energy is needed at this point, but
you're going to shut it down again.
Shut it down again. So just enjoying the high energy here, but being able to offer that to you. So as we've already created it for ourselves, we now get you guys set into gear. If you're listening while you're driving, of course, be safe. You can still follow the breathing exercises, but don't close your eyes. Stay safe.
And maybe we don't this time. Maybe we keep our eyes open.
Yeah, keep our eyes open.
For this invigorating breath and to bring more energy into our body. And we're laughing because we were talking about that. And as soon as I went into the breathing exercise, our podcast shut down. So there was a whole lot of energy going on. And hopefully it's out. It's sending it out to you as well, of a whole lot of love and light. And so what our breath is going to be today is always focusing within. But I want you to understand that these breaths can wake you up. They can invigorate you. They can put you to sleep. There's all of the different kind of breathing techniques have different specific rhythms to it and energy to it. And so today I want to do we're going to do a 4 and 5 breath interval. And it looks like this. It's actually taking 4 short breaths in and exhaling 5 short breaths out. And what this is going to do is just kind of flood your body with oxygen and just kind of release the stale air that's sitting really high up into your chest. And it might make you a little lightheaded, and that's okay. We're going to stir up the energy in your body so that it wakes you up. All right. So this
again, be safe if you're driving. Don't get yourself lightheaded.
Yes,
behind the wheel.
If you're driving, maybe only do 1 or 2 breaths so that when you're at a settled place, you can do the 3 to invigorate your body at that time.
Absolutely.
So what I want you to do is I want you to inhale for 4. It looks like this. And exhale out 5. Inhale 4, 3, 2. Inhale. Exhale. 1 more inhale. And exhale. When you're really, really forcing oxygen in fast and forcing oxygen out just as quick, you'll really feel it in the top of your head, and you'll feel it expanding your lungs. And so I encourage you to do this where you're at a safe place and when you're really sitting down, so that you can just get the surge of oxygen in and stale air out. And this will really, you'll notice all of a sudden you get a little tingly, and you might start talking fast like I am because it actually does force more oxygen into our brain and helps us focus better. If you're getting sleepy at work or in front of your computer, it's really a great, great way to recenter yourself and rejuvenate your body.
And just a reminder on that tip is engage your diaphragm. Okay. And it's not a top lung breathing exercise. Even though you're doing the quick breaths, you want to engage your diaphragm and you're breathing into your belly, because that will create that activation, that tingling sensation, which brings the oxygen to all the parts of the body, and it awakens the body. So that's why you feel energized. That's why you feel like it's better than drinking coffee, really, like if you do it right. So, where you don't even need it, because coffee doesn't have the most positive benefits, because most people are not drinking the good stuff, if there is even good stuff, right? So awesome. Okay, well, we were talking about, this is the spring into your best self, the month to kick off and spring into your best life. And with that, like we said in the previous podcast, the month, because it's the cycles and the seasons of our bodies, of our souls. We have seasons and cycles. We have within our own blueprint. We have our own rhythm in which we have energy to activate, energy to slow down and regenerate. So that's why food is seasonal as well, and that's why the month is structured in the way it is. One little caveat, little fun fact is that the calendar that we follow is not the natural rhythm of the planet. Okay, so we cycle as women. We have a 28-day cycle. That's the natural rhythm of the planet. We cycle with the planet. So when you feel changes, notice what's going on in the environment, in nature, because it'll be a reflection of what's really going on in you. We have the rhythm that follows that harmonious cycle with nature. So with that, that's why the seasons present certain foods and color foods at certain times of the year, because they support the activity and energy that the body can be sustained with to create certain things. So spring is about activation, about energizing things, bringing things to life, birth of new ideas, birth of new life in your awareness and many things. So Sonia, you share with us, how that translates into the physical expression of food and health and overall wellness.
Yeah. So when you're trying to set yourself up, right? If you're trying to set yourself up for your food or for your work, or just to look at your life in a different view.
Yeah.
You want to understand what it is that you're trying to focus on. You always have to make sure that you're extremely clear. And I know I keep saying this over and over again. It's about doing things differently. How do you want to approach this differently? How do you want you to have a new relationship with food? What is that relationship like? Being really clear on it and what you want out of it. And it's not a diet. It's not this huge diet plan. It's not a huge change in your exercise or in your regimen. It's about understanding our body clock. It's about understanding our seasons. It's about understanding that we can get more things done in the morning. So Cynthia and I talk about this a lot. It's about being productive in what we're doing, and when we are actually expending our energy to do something, make it count.
Yes.
Really, really make it count. And so being productive and getting things done, if it's the thing that you want to do, and we had talked about this in the last podcast of what was the focus of your new spring month, right? What is the focus for you, and being productive for you? Maybe if you something that you don't like doing, like exercise or food prepping or whatever that is, doing those things in the morning, bright and early, kind of switching up your routine a little bit, is really, really important to look at, because we become tired through the day. Things come in, schedules get changed, and all of this stuff will happen. And understanding that if we put that one thing that we're not really comfortable in doing, right? I keep talking about doing something that makes you uncomfortable. Doing it earlier in the morning before noon, I think the percentage is like 81% of people actually will accomplish what they're trying to do if they do it before noontime. So we really want to look at all of this and how you show up. How do you show up for yourself? How do you organize for yourself? And what does that look like? Do you organize by using your calendar? Do you organize by using your phone? These are tools that we can use to our benefit, but if we don't really pay attention to it, or we don't take the time to organize ourselves in any way, it's hard to understand what it is that we need to do for ourselves. So if we're a multitasker or we're not a multitasker, we need to know that about ourselves. We might multitask and we're not able to do it, or we're really crappy at doing it, right? Multitasking maybe isn't for you. Maybe it's a one thing a day that we need to use to focus.
Can I add something with that? Because one of the things that we are advocating for is increasing our mindfulness so that we can create satisfying accomplishments in achieving the goals that we set out for ourselves. The one thing with multitasking is ineffective. So unfortunately, many women and men, but more women than not, will they cheerlead for this multitasker, juggling many balls in the air at the same time and thinking that they're very effective. Mindfulness is about focus. And one of the reasons why people feel very overwhelmed and stressed out and anxious is that they're trying to split their energy in too many different ways, and their awareness is not centered, it's not clear, and it's the jack of all trades, master of none. So awareness and mindfulness is about drawing your awareness, your attention and focus back into the present moment. And the most effective approach is to be able to get to a place where you focus on one thing at a time, so that you start to create beneficial outcomes and completion, bring things to completion. Then it's no longer occupying space in your mind and no longer occupying your attention. So I just want to go ahead and interject that component when people are having that conversation about multitasking.
Right, and that plays right along the sides of reducing interruptions that happen, that are constantly coming at us, like in life. Like realistically, we can't reduce how often other people are going to come in and interrupt us, like at work, and get us off track of what it is that we're doing, or if it's our kids. And we can't always put those on pause, but when we can, we should really be mindful of our time, and be mindful of the time that you set aside for yourselves to accomplish what it is that you're accomplishing. And it's about honoring yourself. And so if other people are trying to borrow your time, say, at work, and, my assistant comes in and wants help with something, it's like, I will absolutely help you with that. Give me 30 minutes, stay on track of what you're doing, because even your coworkers will come in and disrupt the flow of what you're doing. So you don't, your time gets spread out, right? If we're trying to clean up our emails and our email lists, and all of a sudden we find ourselves on Facebook for 25 minutes, right? We get distracted,
Those
and
are weapons of mass distraction,
you're
people.
not kidding. And it's like my intention was today I was getting to my emails, and then we're like, oh, what's so and so? I see there that they posted something, and you're off and never land over here. So it's honoring yourself and your time, and your time is extremely important. And this is one thing we really advocate for, is putting in your schedule in your calendar, as I mentioned, or if you're writing it in a book or you're putting it on your phone. Take time for yourself, for meditating, for doing something different, for food prepping, whatever it is. Put it in your schedule as if it is your job, and in there, time for fun,
Yeah.
time to play, time to sing, time to listen to music, time to have your own little dance party in your house. Whatever that is, honor yourself and do it differently. Schedule a little time where you're like, okay, maybe for 5 minutes, I'm going to research some really fun ways how to not make my water that I have to drink every day boring, right?
Yeah.
You want to find times to honor yourself and do things that are fun, but things that are going to be productive to you and that mean something to you.
Absolutely. And the other aspect of that is in those interruptions. So those are all patterns and behaviors, and those patterns and behaviors come from your mindset. So taking a look at what your mindset is, and this is, I think, what the ultimate focus of today's show is really taking a closer look at how you think about the choices that you make, or why are you making those choices, or why do you allow people to interrupt you in the day? Why do you stop what you're doing to cater to somebody else's needs, right? I call it the people pleasing problem. You know, the triple P. And a lot of us, especially as women, we have been programmed and wired to mentally believe, to have this belief that says, I have to meet everybody else's needs first. I come last, and I'll get when I get everything else done, then, right? If like, if I get all this done, then I have time for me. When I get this done, then I'll have time for me. That time never comes, because you are the last priority on that to-do list, and they will never ever get to your to-do list to the point where you have time for you. So you have to create a boundary that says, this time is important to me. I have made a commitment, and I will not allow other people to disrupt that flow until I complete that. So you were saying, it's like in 30 minutes. Well, sometimes 30 minutes is not available. And I just posted an article from Conscious Magazine regarding this, on how boundaries are so important, because we are creating burnout, and burnout stems from, so there's a close relationship in the work that I do, especially with the hypnotherapy stuff, is there's a very close relationship between anxiety, depression, and its correlation to burnout. Okay. So by the time you burned out, you have gone so hard and so fast for so long that you've been going on borrowed time, borrowed resources, borrowed energy for so long that there is no more that you can take from. And you are going to be forced to reconcile that debt, that energetic, emotional debt. So that being said, it's those boundaries and creating a new relationship with the word no. And it doesn't mean that you're being mean, unkind, disrespectful. It just means that that you're being given an opportunity to reevaluate your priorities, right? And look at it and say, you know what, I would love to, because it's my nature to help. And I love helping other people. But in order for me to be able to be of any good to anybody else, I have to be able to be right with myself, right? So I have to honor my own commitments. I have to honor my own choices. And when I get that completed, if you still need help, I can support you by giving you tips. I can guide you. Because doing things for other people is disempowering. We steal people's power by doing things for them, because what that says is that you cannot do things without me. you're not capable of doing it yourself, and it only feeds this disempowering pattern for them, right? So we think that we're helping. We have that was one of my big ahas in my life, where because I was people pleaser, extraordinaire, right? Anybody, I could be in a conversation with you, Sonia, and you would say, you know what, I was really interested in learning about da da da. You know what I would do? I would get so excited to support you and to help you that I would go and make it my priority to go and research on behalf and send you stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody asked me to, right? I put myself in that position because there was this need, there's this underlying subconscious need to feel acknowledged, to feel valued, to feel appreciated, and thinking that this false idea, thinking that if I do this for you, you will love me, right?
I have a name for it too.
What's the name? The uns, right?
I call it filling your uns, right? When we're mindful about our body, when we're mindful about our time, when we're mindful about what we're putting in our system, if we're using food, for instance, and connecting with our food and our body and our mind, we address this, our emotions in different ways. And a lot of time it is our food, or it's how we choose to nourish or nurture ourselves. And I call it filling my uns, or I call it filling your uns. And the uns is our emotions that we attach to what we eat, or how we eat, or how we treat ourselves with food. And our uns are when we feel unhappy and we feel unattracted or unheard or unloved or unfulfilled or unsatisfied in any way, shape, or form. Right? Something else is going to come out on the other side of that. And that's going within, right? That's going, it's thinking, okay, I didn't need that candy bar. Why did I eat it? I didn't even think about it. There was no interruption in the thought process of just going for it. It was an emotional response, and I grab it, and then that emotional response, right, is a habit. And we're not feeling into that emotion at all. Our habits are emotionless. Yeah. It's like there's no emotions that happen with a habit. You don't actually think. And so doing things like even journaling and understanding, so that you can dig a little bit deeper. Sometimes we're not aware of, I feel unattractive today, or I feel unhappy. It could be something that happened yesterday. It could be something that happened this morning. It could be something that happened last week. And when you got back from work on Monday and you go into your office, something your boss or someone said from last week is still pissing you off. And today you're like angry and mad and you don't know why. It's addressing those things. And
well, those are the triggers
in your body. That's right.
Those are the triggers. So the deeper part of that would be the stuff that happened way, 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 way before that. So
exactly. And how you responded to it. Yeah. Right. So the body shows up in you addressing or craving certain foods, and that has become a habit. But your mind is what is the knowledge that you had? What was the tools and the tactics that you used when something emotionally happened to you, or spiritually, or being self-aware of what that looked like? And are you joyful? Are you upset? Are you happy? And I know everyone does it. When we're happy, just like if you had, say, a brand new boyfriend or girlfriend and you were in this relationship,
the honeymoon phase,
right? Yeah, the honeymoon phase. You're so happy and you don't even think about eating. And it's not eating. You ate when you needed to eat, and you didn't when you didn't need to, and your body was just so full of joy. You weren't thinking you're not attractive and people aren't hearing you, because that person is really hearing and listening to you, and they're appreciating you, and they're they're hitting all those uns on our list that make us feel so happy and so joyful. And when we're addressing those things, everything else just runs kind of smooth. We're not interrupted by bad energy and negative thoughts. We're just not.
So it comes down to needs that are met and unmet needs, right? So the uns are those unmet needs. And when you are in a state of joy, that there is nothing that you need. So that's a basic principle of being right with yourself and with your wholeness, because when you are whole, you need nothing.
Right. You crave nothing, whether
Nothing.
it's food or emotion, right?
Exactly. So, just take, and not just with food and the physical, but it's like how we interact in relationships. Like there's toxic relationships, whether they're toxic relationships at work, like, over committing to people, because there's like, so in the spiritual realm, there's the connection between the empath and the narcissist. So there's like this magnetic force that draws those two individuals because they feed off of each other. The narcissist, because the empath is overly committed to pleasing the needs of the narcissist, and the narcissist is committed to taking from the empath, right? So, that's a very, very common relationship. And we put ourselves in those toxic situations because there's a misaligned idea of a need that needs to be met. That somewhere along the lines, we confuse those behaviors with some form of response of love.
Right.
Right.
Acceptance
And acknowledgement and being seen and being needed. So there's a confusion there. So, and sometimes we have to take responsibility because we may be the toxic one. Yeah. Right. I read this article that was talking about being the toxic female, and the toxic female is the one who is always, bad mouthing and gossiping and cutting other people down. And, it's like, look at the way she looks and that kind of nonsense. Right. And creating these really bad patterns of behavior. And I used to work in corporate America, so I used to see it all the time, and I used to participate in it. And when I realized and became very aware of how I was contributing to that toxicity, everything changed for me, so there's another story behind that. But it really is, you start to become aware, and it's like taking responsibility too. It's not just about creating boundaries for yourself, and don't cross your own boundaries, for goodness sake. It's like, don't say you're not going to do something, then you go and do it and say, oh, well, that was, I'll do it better tomorrow. Some people use that as a crutch too. So, it's like, take responsibility for your choices one way or the other. It's like, there's no shame in it. If you see that it didn't serve you or it didn't support you, it didn't feel good to make that choice, you made it anyways, even though you knew the consequences, cut yourself a break and reset. That's the beauty about waking up to a new day, right? Like you get to do it over every single day, but you get to decide what you're going to bring with you from yesterday. So that's what mindfulness is. It's like creating a choice of like how you want tomorrow to be if today sucked. And if today was great, how do I create more of that? Right?
So right. What worked?
Yeah. So so we got to wrap it up here. So what one good tip of like, supporting the mindset and setting ourselves up to clean the clutter of our mind, what would you say?
So along the lines of the uns, if it is something that is emotional, and you are getting maybe you're craving a certain food because you're using that as a buffer, right? We're using it to numb us and not really acknowledge what's going on. Ask yourself, am I really hungry? Do I really need to eat? Or am I trying to feel my uns? Am I trying to feel a whole? And sometimes food is the quickest way, or self-destruction or sabotaging is the quickest way to get there. But pay attention to those triggers. Maybe write them down. Put in your notes of your phone, what is distracting you? Or are you not being present in that moment, right? Identify with yourself. And are you preparing with a purpose? What can you do to support yourself?
What are you overcommitting to also? And share with us. Yeah, share with us in the comments. Like, you know, if you came to your aha moment today, what was that? Did you realize that you had that there was a pattern of behavior that you do either with food, in relationship, or anywhere else that doesn't support you? It's really powerful to create that awareness and putting it there, sharing, we can support somebody else in the community. So,
What was your trigger?
and what was your trigger? Like who triggered you? And who is that person in your life? And it's never directly that person. It's like they represent somebody in your life, and that the gift in that is that they're bringing that to your awareness so that you can handle it different. So one of the things that we want to, before we close here, we want to let you know that we have a lot of great things coming up. We haven't shared before, but we do offer mindfulness programs for businesses. So if you're someone that is a professional, as an executive, especially in the LA area, we can do virtual stuff and even fly out. But particularly in the LA SoCal area, we are putting some awesome programs together that are holistic mindfulness to support bringing that collaborative, cooperative experience within the office, because that's where we spend most of our time. And then also, if you guys are not, you know, in that space, we are providing coaching and mindfulness support and transformational work. We do already together, either one-on-one. We'll have some group programs coming up for you guys, so keep on the lookout for that. Join our Facebook page at Her Life Mastery. And connect with us there. We'll be doing some coaching salons here probably in the next couple weeks, and we'll be announcing those just to offer support. And if you guys have questions there, go ahead. We'll pop in there a couple times out of the week. We're not there every day because we do have our practices and our lives, but we will be checking in a couple times out of the week to answer questions and, you know, just support each other. Share with us your experiences. And, you know, some heart love, some thumbs up, some likes, share, spread the word, and we look forward to connecting with you next week. Any last words?
No, just loving hearing the progress that you guys are making and what you're enjoying about the podcast. We love hearing it all, and maybe something you're interested in learning. Share that with us as well. That helps us to be more mindful and put stuff out there that you guys are really, really interested in.
And share your wins, man, because that's the best part. Like if anything helped you out, like and whether it's with us or somebody else, like what are some of the things that supported you that came up as a result of this conversation that reminded you of a success that you had? And those are the best stories as well, because we're here to share those journeys, those stories of those journeys. So thank you so much, all. Happy blessings. Make it the best week, and we'll talk soon.
Bye-bye.